Well, hello friend, and welcome to another episode of Van Life Living in the Ark. I'm out here on a beautiful January day in the park again. To my surprise, warm enough that, well, I don't even need to wear my coat. I'll tell you, it's been a journey. And the Holy Spirit had me create a couple of videos these last couple of days, and well, let's just say it hasn't been kind of a joy for me. It's kind of like here, I'm on this climbing these hills. I'm on an uphill battle, I feel. But the Holy Spirit told me He'll give me faith when I need it, which is every day, friend. That's the reason I'm in the park pretty much every day. And I seek Him more time than not because, well, the more I've seen and the more I've known, the more faith I need. And if I don't give Him most of my thoughts most of the time, well, then those thoughts of fear come upon me. So I have to always be thinking of Him so I'm not thinking of selfishness. Because, well, if you've watched the last couple videos I've done, you know that the Holy Spirit kind of has made me offer myself up as a scapegoat. For no better words to say than that, for the truth of the matter. And that is that because this nation has let itself become a monopoly and somebody has to stop it, it means somebody's going to have to take a fall. And, well, you know, the Jews got their scapegoat. The first fruit got the first scapegoat. So the second fruit gets the second scapegoat. And I don't expect you to believe a word I say, friend. Nobody does. But you're going to see soon. Because I've offered the Christians a way out of this. And if they don't take it, then it's going to be what it is. So if you've been listening to my videos and you belong to a church, you might want to let them know what's going on because, well, my father gave me that Rosa Parks moment coming where I'm going to stand before a judge and refuse to pay. And I don't know what my father will tell me to say, because what did Jesus tell us? He said, when you go before the judges, don't think about what to say, that I will give you what to say at that very hour. But I suspect that it's not going to be something to glorify myself, that's for sure. And I don't know how my father's going to do this. But understand that Jesus could have got off of that cross 100 times that night before He went there. All He had to do is deny my father, right? All He had to do was say something to Pilate. Pilate was trying not to crucify Him, but Jesus wouldn't give Him a reason not to. So understand that if my father wants me hanging on a cross, I'm going. It's not because I want to, but Jesus didn't want to either, did He? Do you remember that? Jesus was praying, weeping. He had some of the apostles come sit next to Him because He felt so scared. He wanted to be surrounded by the ones that seemed to love Him the most. And so then they kept falling asleep on Him. He knew that they weren't going to make it. But He kept saying, wake up. The spirit's willing, but the flesh is weak. Friend, my flesh is weak, but my spirit's willing. So my father has to keep me out here by myself most of the time, because anytime I talk to anybody about the truth, they get all upset. So you that listen to me on this camera are the only people really getting this truth. And if you listen to me on Facebook, because I put some outright stuff on there, I've warned them it's coming. That's where all my friends and family are. And I told them it's coming. Nobody believes me. A prophet is only without honor in his own hometown. So understand that when this storm hits, I've warned you all about it. And if you don't believe me, once again, I'm going to post this video that I created. It's only a minute long. I'm going to put it in the description of this video so that you can go look at it if you haven't. And it's 1 minute long, and it shows you that BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street own every corporation in this country. And you can go to Yahoo Finance, go into the holders tab, and see the top 10 holders of every corporation in this nation are BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. And they own the majority shares. They're not at the bottom of the list, friend, they're at the top. And that means they have controlling interest, which means they get to vote and change all the rules. So what that means is you're living in an old mining town, and though you think you're free, you're a slave. And it's only started, friend. They've been working this over, and the more I talk, the less you'll hear. So you go look and see if I'm not telling you the truth. Then you go listen to some of my videos, because my father has made me offer them a way out. But no Christian's taking it because they're too busy being scared instead of following the Holy Spirit. And I did talk to my father about this on the way out here when I was coming up through the field over there. I said, Lord, why is it that nobody's listening? He said, well, you know there's people listening to the Holy Spirit. Why haven't they led you to your videos? I said, that's a great question. He said, because I've offered them a way out, but most of them don't want it. Nobody wants what's coming, friend, but everybody knows it is. Christians especially. You know, my father told you the truth. He wasn't a liar. He sent you the firstborn, and the firstborn told you this was coming. And because you won't look, you can't see. And because you can't see it, it's going to hit you blind. And if you've heard my videos and you know the truth and you didn't tell anyone else, imagine my father might ask you on the final day, why is it you didn't let him know it was coming? Right? So if you say you know Jesus and you know what's coming because I've told you and you didn't listen, expect Jesus to ask you on the final day why it was you left your neighbor hungry and naked. Why is it you didn't give him salvation when you said you had it for yourself? Because those are the questions my father's going to ask. He told you at the end of the age that those that fed the hungry, clothed the naked, and visited people in prison, those were the ones getting into the kingdom. The ones that prophesied, cast out demons, and prayed in his name and did nothing, friend, he told you that he was going to cut them off like dead limbs because they didn't do anything. And he told the Pharisees that because they won't live up to the truth, that they make the converts twice the sons of Satan. And Christianity has done the same. And they do that because instead of teaching that salvation is for everyone every day, they keep telling you that all you have to do is believe Jesus died on the cross. And that's a lie. And you don't need to believe me. You need to go read what Jesus said, and you're going to see that that's true. But these are the final hours where people are going to make the right choice or they're not, because my father's called me out to make this stand, and I'm making it. Not because I want to. Because if I wouldn't make the stand, if I thought that it would prolong things and all that, I wouldn't make the stand. But they're setting this up whether you know it or not. The politicians and the corporations have already piled all the fire on this nation. They've dumped the oil on it. They just haven't set the match. And whether you know it or not, that match is going to be lit soon. So I'm going to light a different match. Instead of letting you all burn it down for selfishness, greed, and hate, I'm going to burn it down for Christ. And I'm not burning it down. I'm hoping that I'm going to get the Christians to stand. But I've tried. And nobody listens. So now you can think about this. Take it to your church. Read what Jesus said. And decide whether I'm right or whether the church is right. Because we can't both be right. So if I'm saying what Jesus said, and they're speaking like hypocrites, then you might want to go read what Jesus said and read and understand whether what I'm saying is true or not. Because if you call me a liar or call me crazy, you're going to have called Christ crazy. Because everything I've been saying, he said first. But nobody wants to listen because they're scared. They don't want to think they have to do anything. And I'm trying to offer you guys a way out. A way that you don't have to be the one with the target on your back. I'll wear it instead. But because nobody wants me to, because they don't want to stand with me, they want someone else to do it and then go hide in their burrows. Friend, you can go hide in your burrow, but it ain't going to do you any good. That's what the corporations think they're doing. The riders of the beast built underground arcs. There's nowhere to run and hide to. My father would drag the stars out of the heavens and rip the tops off of mountains to seal their tombs. So if you're thinking like them, you might want to make a new choice, because I've been telling you guys and nobody's listening. All right, friend, well, this is the problem. I love you. I love everybody. If I love my Father, I have to love all of his children, right? Jesus told me I did. But my Father's not going to let you break his covenant and then get rewarded for it, because he told you that he made a covenant with Abraham. And since this nation's trying to break it by their insanity, because you think that what goes on over here doesn't affect Israel. But friend, we're a nuclear nation. And we're standing toying with China, which is a nuclear nation. What do you think happens when the two of us go at it? Do you think my Father's going to let us destroy the world and break his promise to Abraham? I can tell you, he's not gonna. So the only way to stop that is to bring one of these nations down. And you know, they didn't claim to be one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, did they? They're not the ones who created this thought of Satan and manifested into flesh, called a publicly traded corporation. Now, they've mastered it just like we did, but we taught it to them. So you ask yourself, where's my Father's judgment going to fall? Friend, you don't have to believe a word I say. You can go listen to what Jesus said, and you will see that what I'm saying is true. My Father's not breaking his promise to Abraham, because he made that promise so that he could bring the kingdom to this earth, so that we couldn't destroy it. He gave you Yom Kippur so that you could have two scapegoats. I know that you don't understand that because you don't understand Yom Kippur, but go look, and Jesus and Judas created Yom Kippur. The Jews are going to start turning soon, because when the scapegoat shows up and does his thing, they'll know the truth. Because the scapegoat's going to tell them that Jesus was the altar goat. He wasn't just the Passover lamb, he was the altar goat of Yom Kippur. So you better be looking these things up, and you better be trying to figure out exactly what the truth is of what Jesus said. Stop worrying about what Paul said and what Moses said, and understand Jesus. Because Jesus said that if you don't eat my flesh, which is his word, drink his blood, which is his spirit, you will by no means enter the kingdom. So if you don't know what he said and what he meant, you can't blame the Pharisees for not telling you the truth, because you left your salvation to them instead of accepting responsibility for yourself and choosing to love your neighbor as yourself. Now, I'm not talking about eternal hell here, friend. I'm just not. Because if you'd have done the things Jesus asked, it would have become clear to you that my Father's not a serial killer. But there's a game going on here called Who Am I? Right? The question is, who are you? You get two thoughts, and the choice you make is one you have, and the thoughts you choose are the words you speak and the experiences you get. And if you choose wrongly, then you get wrongly, and death isn't going to bring you joy, friend, because it just isn't. But my Father's not going to leave anyone in hell for eternity. But if you're not willing to turn now, if you're not willing to help, if you're not willing to stand up and be the light when this nation needs light, then don't you ask my Father for a kingdom that you refuse to bring. That's what he told me, and so that's what I'm telling you. I made a covenant to God, so I have to fulfill it. So if what he needs is what he needs, then that's what he's going to get. And I don't know how to do it, friend. I'm a coward from way back. But my Father doesn't make me do it. He comes out here, I talk to him, he talks to me, he assures me that even if it all goes wrong, it's all going right. If I put him first, even if I do it wrong, it's still right. Because I did it in the spirit of love for the Father, the Son, and his children. And therefore, I'm always trying to do the thing that's in the best interest of God, Jesus, and you. And whether you think it's in your best interest or not, if you don't believe in Jesus, then you surely won't believe that. Because you probably love all this selfishness and don't realize that they're setting you up. And I don't want to go into all that because nobody believes a word I say anyway. But you go to Yahoo Finance and you look up these corporations and see that what I'm telling you is true. And then you make a decision. It's time for you to make a stand. You're going to either stand with me or you're going to stand against me. And I didn't want to say any of this. I told my father, please speak for me before I turn this video on because I'm a coward, friend. I don't want to say these things. I'm painted a target on my back and I don't like the idea of it at all. But when you make a covenant to God, you follow through with it. And I'm following through with it. So, mount your horses. Pick the horse you're going to mount. And get prepared to ride, friend, because you're going to ride. You're riding one horse to the other. You're not going to sit this one out. I'm telling you so. All right, friend. I love you because my Father loves you, and he wants us to do the right thing. He wants us to know love by experience. That's the purpose of the world. The purpose of the world is to come to know love by experience. But he gave us a set of laws and told us to abide in them. And if we would, that it would have been fine, but we didn't. We didn't give him the Sabbath day. So instead of taking one day, the day that he appointed to us, and really thinking about what we're thinking about, we give him 1 hour a week and on Mithras' day, which isn't even the right God, friend. And then people watch football and do all this stuff and don't really give God any quality time. So instead of thinking about what's best for God, for their neighbor, and for themselves and their family, they just go through life not thinking about what they're thinking about. And this is the price. This is what happens when we all don't give God our thoughts for a day so that we can start talking to one another. Because if we were all thinking about what we were thinking about, you'd hear what I'm saying. But because you're not, or now you're thinking about it and you didn't before, now you're going to not want to think about it. But I don't care whether you want to think about it. I'm telling you, the hour of whether you're going to or not is past. The only question is, what are you going to think about? The choices that you have. And I highly suggest you go read what Jesus said and do what he asked. Because if not, you're going to find yourself on the wrong side of the door of the wedding. All right, friend. Well, may God bless you and yours.